Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're texting a girl, maybe you've even had a date with her, and she was interested in you initially. She seemed to like you, it was going well, but then somewhere along the line, she seems to have lost attraction to you. And now she's not texting you back, she's not responding, and it seems like this interaction is just pretty much dead. So why does this happen? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the 4 reasons a girl pulls away and how to get her back when she does. So the first reason a girl will pull away when she seems to like you before is that she met someone else. She met a guy who's more attractive than you, or at least who she considers more attractive to you for now. And as a result, she's no longer prioritizing you. And you've become kind of like a backup plan. Or if she's serious with this guy, she might have just completely dropped you altogether. Now, the second big reason a girl pulls away is that something you did gave her the ick. And this is a term girls use to describe when a guy does something or says something, kind of cringe, and they suddenly lose attraction to him as a result. The classic example of this is like if you're at a restaurant and you try to get the waiter's attention, but he ignores you. And a lot of girls have talked about how little moments like that will like completely flip their feelings and they'll lose attraction to a guy. And you know, it seems like a very small thing, but it's just one of those things that women are hardwired by evolution to find unattractive, because it's generally a symptom of a bigger problem that, you know, you're not dominant, you're not assertive, other men aren't afraid of you, they don't respect you. So generally girls will get the ick and they'll get turned off when you do or say things that reveal you're not assertive, you're not competent, you're not dominant. Basically, your game just like isn't quite there yet, you know? And if you show too much neediness, too much eagerness to meet up with her, even things like using tons of approval-seeking emojis and reacts to your text messages can give her the ick. And you know, I already know just saying this that a lot of guys are gonna get super triggered. They're gonna be like, you know, girls will lose interest because of an emoji. Like, fuck that, that's so petty. And you know, that's one way to look at it. That's perfectly valid. But another way is, look, she has an ideal in her head of how a dominant, take charge, alpha male type of guy acts, right? And when you do these little cringy types of behaviors, it ruins that mental image she has of you. It ruins that fantasy in her head. And remember, in the early stages of dating someone, the girl doesn't know you at all, really. You know, if she's attracted to you initially, it's only because she's attracted to an idea of you that exists in her mind. She's not attracted to the real you initially. She's only attracted to an idea of you, to a perception of you, and every single little thing you do that either confirms or alters that mental image she has of you. So it's very important when you first start talking to a girl to manage her perceptions, to control the frame, to control the narrative, and control the story she tells herself in her mind about who you are. The failure to do that is really the #1 reason girls lose interest and ghost guys, stop texting back. And I talk about this in detail in my course, The Girlfriend Button, which is all about how to text girls in a way that controls the narrative and makes them see you as high value. You can learn more about that by clicking the link in the description. But really, for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to assume you already made this mistake, and then we can move on from there. All right, so the third big reason girls pull away is just simply that she's being distracted by other things. She might be busy with work, she might be on vacation, she might have exams, she may be moving house, a relative could have died. You know, there could be any kind of drama or crazy bullshit going on in her life. Like, who knows, maybe she just got a DUI, maybe her sister got arrested, her pet died. There's all kinds of shit that can happen that you can just file under the general rubric of like life gets in the way. And this can cause a situation where a girl who was interested in you initially just suddenly doesn't seem to have any time for you anymore. However, a big problem that often comes up here is, you know, the girl doesn't text you back because she's busy with some life thing that came up. And so you end up double texting her and she still doesn't get back to you. And then you triple text and you end up coming off as needy. And so even though the initial reason she pulled away wasn't actually your fault, the way a lot of guys handle it by overreacting to it then ends up giving her the ick, which we discussed before, and then causing her to lose attraction. Like, she feels like, oh wow, like this guy really wants me, huh? I didn't realize he was so into me. And so it changes the dynamic and makes her begin to lose interest. And this is why when a girl pulls away, it's so important to just calm the down. Don't react. Just give her space. Don't text her for a while. A good rule of thumb you should follow is if you send her a text and she doesn't respond, wait at least 3 days until you text her again. You know, very, very often she'll get back to you in that time, but just give it some space. Give her room to breathe. Now, the fourth and final reason girls pull away, even though they seem interested in you initially, and again, this one really has nothing to do with you and it's not your fault. It's basically just that the girl has too much abundance. She has too many guys who want her. She has too many options. And you know, she may not even be seeing any of those other guys necessarily, but the issue is with all this attention and all this validation she's getting, she just has no actual motivation to really get off her ass and meet up with you for a date. And you know, you have to think about this from her perspective here. You know, she really doesn't know who you are. If she's young and hot, she has a ton of options. There's good looking, rich, tall, funny guys literally lining up to date her. And so even if she's texting you and even if she's kind of interested and she thinks you're funny, you're handsome or whatever, when the rubber meets the road, you know, when she's at home and she's in her pajamas and she has a choice between either leaving the house to meet up with you or just continuing to do absolutely nothing, you know, people are lazy. People don't want to do things. You know, every one of us has status quo bias. You know, if you're watching this video at home and I tell you right now, like, go outside, go to the nearest coffee coffee shop, approach the first hot girl you see, your life will change, just do it now. Intellectually, you may know that's true, but are you actually going to do it? Are you going to get up right now and approach a girl? No, because everyone just wants to keep doing whatever they're currently doing. So this status quo bias, this laziness, this is a huge part of why girls pull away. This is especially in those cases where you're texting a girl and she is responding positively and she does seem to be into you, but every time you actually try to get her out, she has some excuse. And what's happened is, she's enjoying the validation, she's enjoying the attention she gets from you, and she is attracted. She probably would actually you if you were there with her in person and the two of you had a couple drinks, but actually getting off her ass to meet you is just not she's just not going to do it. And usually in these situations, after the girl has made several excuses and she's flaked on plans multiple times, then she's going to end up ghosting you because it's just kind of too awkward to continue at that point. But this is almost it's not really that she lost interest, it's more like she was never really serious about dating you to begin with. So with girls like that, it's really honestly better to just find that out as fast as possible so you can avoid wasting time in the first place. All right, so those are the 4 big reasons why girls pull away, why they lose interest, why they flake, why they ghost you. So what do you actually do when a girl pulls away? Well, first off, the most important thing I want to stress is don't react. If a girl stopped texting you back, if she stopped replying to your messages, do not keep texting her. Give her at least 2 to 3 days of complete silence before you make your next move. Frankly, I feel like this should be obvious, but I've seen so many cases of where a guy and a girl are texting and maybe he asks her if she wants to go out and she doesn't text him back for an hour or 2 hours, and the guy immediately freaks out. He double texts, he triple texts, he starts getting desperate, he starts getting angry, even saying you fucking bitch, whatever. And it's just dude, chill, it's been an hour, And I know I probably shouldn't have to say this, but I've already seen text messages like this. So if a girl hasn't replied to your last text, you want to leave it a minimum of 2 or 3 days before texting her again. And if you do that, very often the girl will reply, but you just need to be patient and let it breathe for a while. This is why you should really be hitting up other girls in the meantime. You can't just be focused on one girl. It's just not going to work. They're going to go silent for periods. You need to have something else to focus on, some other girl to pursue in the meantime. Okay, so let's say she didn't respond to your message and you've given it 3 days and she still hasn't responded. Well, what do you do now? Well, the big key here, and this is a principle I learned from Todd Valentine, is when a girl has gone silent, you never want to text her anything that requires a response on her part. So, for example, texts that require a response would be if you asked her, how's your day going? Or do you want to hang out soon? Or anything where you're suggesting meeting up or asking her for any kind of compliance at all. Compliance is where you ask someone to take some action or to do something. Basically, again, the rule is if she's gone silent, don't text her anything which requires a response on her part. But what you can do when a girl has gone silent is send her what Todd calls value offering texts. So an example of a value offering text is a funny meme, for example. On screen right now, you can see a couple memes and funny images I've sent to girls I was texting, and you really want to mimic her sense of humor and her style, the things you get a sense she'll find funny. Don't just send her any meme. Try to send things that you get a sense that she'll be into. And if the meme is in reference to something related to her or something that you two talked about before, that's really ideal. That's the perfect thing. And that's known as callback humor, and it's very, very effective when texting women. And again, the key here is that you're just offering pure value. You're not asking for a response, you're not asking for anything in return, and that way she can either choose to react and then you've got the conversation started again, or if she doesn't react, it's not the end of the world, because since you haven't asked her to respond, you haven't lost any value by her not reacting. Now, another example of a value offering text you can send is a picture you just took, or tell her about something you just saw, or something that just happened to you throughout your day. Anything personal where you can put a funny little spin on it. For example, it was icy out in the middle of winter and I took this picture from my apartment and said to the girl, this weather is almost as icy as my cold black heart. Another example, I was texting the stripper who I ended up dating, and I just taken a pretty good shirtless pic of myself, which honestly I don't look that good shirtless, but it was just good lighting. So I sent her that and said, I'm a better stripper than you. Another example of the value offering text is, I was heading to the gym and took a mirror selfie and I said, on my way to go lift some heavy things and put them down again. Maybe this time I'll beat my high score of lifting an even more heavier thing than the last time. So these value offering texts, they can be a meme or a funny image, or they can be a story from your life, an observation, something that happened to you throughout your day that you just put a funny little twist on. And just a good rule of thumb here is, obviously funny is good, but don't be funny at the expense of being high status. So what I mean is, there's high status humor and there's low status humor. And low status humor is for example, when you're making a joke about how you're desperate to get laid, or how girls don't like you, or how, people make fun of you, or you're a joke or whatever. And that's great if you're a comedian, because that's very relatable to a lot of people. But when you're communicating with girls, everything you do needs to be establishing or maintaining the frame that you're a high value man. You're high status, you do high status things, you live a high status lifestyle, women like you. So if the meme or the little anecdote you're sending isn't congruent with that, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Alright, so that's value offering texts, and they're really, really key for keeping a girl in your orbit, even if she stopped responding. Because what you can do is, whenever she goes silent, you just wait a couple days, then you send her like a funny little meme or an anecdote about your life. And again, if she responds, great, now you get the conversation back on track and you can escalate towards meeting up. But if she doesn't respond or react, it's not the end of the world. You can still text her again, maybe a week later, you send her some other funny little meme or story or whatever. And it's so important to have this tool in your arsenal, because honestly, in most successful interactions I've had, going from texting a girl to ultimately getting her out, getting her to bed, dating her, she's probably going to go silent at least once and maybe a few times. And it does not mean it's over. You can get her re-engaging again if you stick to this formula. And you'd be surprised by how many girls who've gone silent will end up naked and moaning in pleasure just a few days later if you've come correct with your text game. Now, if you've done all that, if you sent the girl maybe 2 or 3 value offering texts over the course of a week or two and she still hasn't responded to any of them, then at that point you want to acknowledge, okay, this one is over. This lead is dead, and just let it go. Now, you may actually end up getting her back even after this, particularly if you do what I'm going to talk about next. However, for the time being, and just for your own mental health and your vitality as a man, it's at this point you need to just fully cut this girl out of your life mentally and emotionally. Just let it go, let it die. And you can actually mourn it, like mourn the loss. And that might seem kind of over dramatic to say, but I found that it's kind of counterintuitive. Like as guys, when we lose a girl, when a girl rejects us, we have a tendency to have this kind of tough guy mentality, like, well, you know what? Her. She wasn't good enough for me anyway. She was an idiot. She doesn't know what she's missing. And I think that can be healthy if that's what it takes you to get over her. But personally, I found that counterintuitively, if you really liked a girl and she lost interest in you for whatever reason, one of the best things you can do is actually allow yourself to mourn the loss. Like instead of trying to be a tough guy about it, actually give yourself a day or an hour or however long you need just to sit with it. And don't try to run from your emotions. Don't try to rationalize them or pretend you're not hurting. Really just let yourself feel the pain without trying to run from it, and really kind of like marinate in that pain. Now, I'm not saying to make it worse. Like don't over dramatize it by telling yourself like, I'm a loser, I'll never get a girl, I'm pathetic. Just stick to the facts, no judgments, no subjective opinions. I wanted this girl, she didn't want me, and now as a result, I'm feeling pain. Those are the facts. There's no opinion there. And again, just let yourself sit with that pain. Don't block it out. Don't try to distract yourself with something else. Just feel the pain and experience it fully. And when you do this, it's very interesting. If you do this properly, you'll get this, it's kind of strange to say, but you'll get a kind of a high off this. If you let yourself experience emotional pain without trying to resist it, without trying to rationalize it away, just let yourself feel it in your body, sit with the pain, you can transmute that negative emotion into a sort of fuel. And that fuel is the most powerful substance on earth. When you transmute the pain of rejection into fuel, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. When a girl's pulled away, when she's rejected you, when she's lost interest, the pain of that, which you feel in that moment, it gives you a kind of energy. And there is absolutely no better fuel on earth for changing your life. There's a million YouTube videos out there about how to get motivation, how to get yourself to stop procrastinating and take action. But I will tell you, getting rejected by a girl you liked, it is fucking gold dust for motivating you to take action. There's honestly nothing else like it. A man who is fueled by pain, by real pain, is going to run laps around a guy who is happy and content every time. Every fucking time. It's not even a question. There's all this stuff out there about how to be happy. Fuck being happy. Pain. Pain is how you change. Pain is what gives you the fire to succeed. You have to have pain. You cannot change your life without it. You're just not going to be motivated enough unless you've got that searing fire inside you from pain. Now, the key thing with using pain as a fuel is you need to do it fast, because this type of pain, it actually goes away pretty quickly. So what I want to suggest to you is that when a girl rejects you, when a girl pulls away or she blocks you or she ghosts you completely, the moment that happens, the moment you feel that pain inside, you want to first of all sit with the pain, allow yourself to experience it fully. Like I said, give yourself an hour, give yourself 2 hours, however long you need. But then once you've done that, use that pain as the fire which fuels you to take massive action. And do it quick, do it that day. Don't wait around. Don't put this off. Take that fire that's inside you and inflict it on the world. Anything you've been putting off, anything you've been procrastinating, now is the time to aggressively begin attacking that. Go sign up to the gym if you haven't already and hit the weights. Go out to a bar or club and make a vow to yourself that you're going to approach 10 women that night. Maybe you've been putting off getting better pictures for your online dating profile. You need to hire a photographer or do something that's going to be like kind of a hassle. Well, now is the time to take action on that. Do it when you're in pain from just being rejected. Do it when you're raw. That pain is a gift. I'm telling you, it's a gift. There's nothing else like it out there for radically changing your life. If you could bottle the pain of rejection that guys get when a girl rejects them, You could sell that shit to people for $1,000 an ounce. And I'm not fucking around when I say that. I'm not exaggerating. The motivation you get from rejection, the purity of it, the potency of it, that specific motivation is more powerful than any other emotion on earth. And here's what else I'll say. If you use this pain of rejection as fuel to level up, to change your life, to radically increase your value as a man, and particularly if you use it to motivate yourself to learn cold approach pickup, if you do that, I guarantee you will end up fucking that girl who rejected you initially. Guaranteed. It's not even a question. It happens every time. And the reason why is actually pretty obvious when you think about it. You know, like if this girl was interested in you initially, but then she lost interest, it's almost always going to be a girl who was just a little bit out of your league, but not by that much. Like say if you're a 7.2 out of 10, odds are she's like a 7.5 or a 7.6. And if you were a 7.6 or a 7.7, then she would have met up with you, but you just weren't quite there yet, you know? Well, what happens now if you use this as an opportunity to grow, to develop your value, to go out and approach women and learn the skills of attraction? Well, what will happen, and I guarantee it, is that if you're serious about this and you take massive action, in a couple months or a year, you're not a 7.2 anymore, you're like an 8 now. Or maybe even a 9 if you also got jacked in the gym or made money in the meantime or whatever. But what is the girl? Well, she's still a 7.5. So now you're an 8, she's a 7.5. And so as soon as she runs into you again or sees you on social media, or even if you slide into her DMs or whatever, then she's immediately going to be like, whoa, wait, hold on a minute. This guy's different. He's like hot now. What the hell happened? And this kind of glow up can be for different reasons. You know, it could be because you've been in the gym, you're more muscular now, you've lost weight, your face is thinned out. It could be because you've got better at games. Now there's pictures of you online hanging out with hotter girls than her. Could be because you've got your money up and now you're dressing in like Italian suits and handmade loafers. You're taking trips to the French Riviera. Could be all three. Point is, the girl realizes immediately, holy shit, this guy's hot now, this guy's a G, this guy's, you know, quite frankly, just better than me, and she wants to jump on your dick. But again, and I really want to emphasize here, her rejecting you was a crucial part of that process. You know, in a way, you should almost be thanking her. At the end of the day, as guys, we simply would not improve, we would not change, we would not better ourselves if it weren't for female rejection. This is why women are sacred in a way. They're not conscious of what they're doing, but it's precisely by rejecting us, precisely by having harsh and sometimes even completely arbitrary standards, that they force men to become great. You know, without that, there would be only mediocrity. So before I finish up here, I'll leave you with a quick story that really demonstrates this point. You know, a couple years ago, I started using Tinder. I matched with this girl who I was really into at the time. She was really hot, really funny, great personality, and she was the first girl I'd met in a while who I considered to be like girlfriend material. And as very often happens, the fact that I liked her so much caused me to screw it up. You know, I acted a little bit too eager, a little bit too needy, and of course she ended up ghosting me. Well, about 4 or 5 months later, I run into her at a bar. And in the course of those 5 months, I'd been approaching girls like crazy. I'd been leveling up my game. I'd been in the gym. I looked better. I talked better. I was more confident, more charismatic, more witty. And so when I ran into this girl, she was into me right away. I actually said, you know, I think we might have talked on Tinder once, which is incidentally a great opener for cold approach, even if you've never seen this girl in your life. But anyway, long story short, the girl's totally into me. We go back to her place. We have sex. I get her number. I call her the next day and we agree to a date. And I could have turned her into my girlfriend at that point. But funny enough, ironically, I actually ended up ghosting her. And, you know, this wasn't intentional. I wasn't trying to get revenge on her or get payback for her ghosting me or anything like that. The way it ended up working out was just that at that point, I was seeing a few other girls now, and quite honestly, I just had better options. So if there's a girl who's ghosted you, who's pulled away, who's lost interest, I really want to emphasize this does not have to be a permanent state of affairs. If you're willing to cut things off with her, accept that it's over, mourn that loss, and then use that pain as the fuel to level up in your life, you will end up in bed with that girl. Guaranteed. I swear to you, it happens every time. She will be crawling back to you on her hands and knees, but only if you take massive action right now to take advantage of this opportunity and this pain and use it as the motivation to turn things around, to upgrade your game and to get more power and abundance with women. Now, you can level up slow or you can level up fast. If you want to level up fast and start getting laid and dating beautiful girls in the next couple of weeks, then you need a game plan and a proven blueprint to do that. And that's why I created the girlfriend button. The girlfriend button shows you how to make any girl your girlfriend or your buddy on command just by saying a few simple words to her. It works over text and in person. So whether you meet her through cold approach, through online dating, or even if she's a female friend or a crush, I will give you the word-for-word script that is guaranteed to get her into bed every time. Click the link below to learn how to do that right now. When you click that link, you'll be directed to a free training video on my website where I'll teach you the #1 secret to making any girl obsessed with you using something I call predictive programming. This works even if she already rejected you and even if she's ghosting you right now. Again, this is a free video with lots of very valuable free content in it about the #1 way to mind control a girl into falling in love with you. And then after the free content, you can learn more about the girlfriend button and decide whether or not it's right for you. So click the link in the description right now and I'll teach you the #1 secret to getting a girl from not responding to your texts to driving over to your place for sex tonight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.